I won't deny it, I'm a straight rider.
So before circles, I was aware of my circumstances and my experience. I was not aware of the term cliff effect, but now I know that there's a term for everything that I've experienced in my life.
This is the story of the cliff effect, when earning more means having less. I'd like to introduce you to 4 women in Northwest Arkansas, mothers, doing everything they can to provide for their families and better their lives, going to school, working hard, and all now or at one time relying on government benefits to assist them as they work towards self-sufficiency. Getting a raise should be cause for celebration and motivation to excel in one's job. But because of the cliff effect, working harder and making more money can actually be financially devastating to those who are taking real steps to move up and out of poverty.
My name is Carmen Gonzalez, and I am 34 years old, and I'm a circle leader. So back in 2019, I was given a really great opportunity to promote within the company that I work for. I've currently worked there almost 10 years. So I really weighed my options, knowing that it would be potentially more stress, more responsibility, being a manager, but it would mean so much more, and the potential to potentially buy a house for me and my child. That was just everything to me. A few months later, I gained custody of my 2 nieces. Although I took that pay raise and I'm putting in a lot more hours, and taking on a lot more stress, I'm not really making any more money or any more headway, and all of our benefits are getting cut.
What Carmen and other circle leaders are experiencing is the cliff effect, sometimes known as benefit cliffs. And these cliffs occur when a pay raise at work triggers a sudden, often unexpected loss of government assistance. So even a small increase in income can result in families suddenly becoming ineligible for subsidized food, childcare vouchers, subsidized housing, or healthcare. And so it's a real risk for families to just suddenly lose it all. Circle leader Kim knows the risk.
If my income is $1 over, then I get no benefits. If it's 1 penny over, I get no benefits.
And as she considers taking a higher paying job at the university, she knows there are cliffs up ahead.
So I would lose housing. I would lose my food stamp benefits and possibly medical.
From a visual standpoint, it's not hard to see how the cliff effect gets its name. As income increases and recipients go over those eligibility lines, benefits are often withdrawn all at once, resulting in these steep cliffs, indicating a loss of often hundreds or thousands of dollars in resources for families.
As a program coach for circles, what I'm seeing happening for people is that the cliff effect is putting them in this place where they have to make a choice about whether or not to take a higher paying job and risk the loss of benefits that they may not be able to make up on their own.
Circle leader Patty has faced the difficult choice of whether or not to stay on benefits.
So I came back to Northwest Arkansas and I started at the university. And then upon graduating there this last spring, 2021, that's kind of when it got real. And I realized that I needed to make a choice of, keeping the current benefits that I had as a means of survival, or to get a job that I knew was going to take care of me and my son. Like, I knew that I was secure as long as I was in college, getting loans and grants. I literally couldn't do it by myself. Child support wasn't consistent. It was just me.
For Shalitha, the cliff effect is a story of one looming cliff after another as she tries to move off of disability and into the full-time workforce.
I took a high-paying job, within 10 months ago, not knowing that increasing my pay would cause me to lose the benefits. And I was happy that I got the job. I thought I was doing real good with that. I thought everything was going to be fine until boom, the cliff effect came about, to where the more that I made, the less that I was going to get.
Many households don't know they are going to lose their benefits until after they have taken more income. Circles has been piloting a tool from the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta to help people identify when they will reach a benefit cliff and how they can plan to navigate it.
So as Shalitha and I have worked together, what we've seen is she really faces this choice between these two different scenarios. Either she can stay on her current assistance and have to work under an income threshold that keeps her in very part-time minimum wage jobs, or if she wants to go off of her benefits and still have the same amount of resources at the end of the day, she has to get a full-time high-paying job to be able to maintain the same budget.
So the idea of working her way up through incremental pay increases over time is not really an option for Shalitha. To avoid hitting these cliffs, she has to limit her income to minimum wage part-time work, or she has to bridge over the cliff and move all the way up to $17, $18 an hour full-time work. Everything in between causes her to net out worse financially.
And then receiving my monthly, Social Security pays for my premium, for my medical, drug prescription, which is zero deductible. And so if I lost all of that during the double increase of my pay, then okay, now you got to pay for the premium. Now you got to pay for your prescription drugs. Now you got to pay for full rent. I would lose my housing. I would lose the Section 8 that I'm already receiving. So that would really put me at being homeless.
So part of what we've seen is the complexity of these different government assistance programs that our circle leaders are having to navigate. Often the income thresholds from program to program are different, and even what's counted as income from one program to the other can be different. And then on top of that, each year these income thresholds tend to change slightly. And so our circle leaders are having to be constantly in the know on whether or not the amount of money they're making is still qualifying them for the benefits that they depend on.
The food stamps, they were having me resubmit every 6 months. And so there would be times that I was literally so busy that I would forget to do it. And so I was like, okay, I need to apply for those again. And it was a whole process. And at one point it was just such a process that I think I just quit applying for them when I knew that I needed them.
For those who haven't ever had to navigate government benefits or services, it can seem like the answer to moving out of poverty is just to work harder, just get a job. When in fact, what we're seeing is that low-income families are working really hard.
I work very hard to provide and be as independent as possible. And so I think there's this huge stigma that we're all here to live off the government. I'm not here to live off the government, but I am here to say that, hello, government, what you're doing is you're putting me in a position to say, some days it might just be easier to ask you for a hand up than to struggle this hard and put this many hours in and spend less time with my kids.
People often want to take on more hours, accept promotions, or work overtime to make more money. But the circumstances of the cliff effect cause people to have to be overly cautious and to limit their economic opportunities. And so the cliff effect is a challenge that negatively impacts not just workers, but employers, those who are wanting to hire, wanting to give raises, or offer overtime or more hours to their employees.
There is definitely a system in place that does not allow people to escape poverty? What is being established to help people see outside of the system?
It's a mindset shift needed for everyone in the community. A shift away from the often overly simplistic explanations we tend to have for why people are stuck in poverty. The cliff effect is a problem that can be addressed so that families working hard to get to self-sufficiency aren't forever stuck, thinking they're climbing a ladder only to be faced with an anchor pulling them back down.
Like I said before, I didn't know there was a name to it until I started circles. And now I know that there's a name. So that means that I'm not the only one. So there's more like me. So there's more reason to promote change.
With a crying